going on? I've just shared a bunch. Like Hey everyone, hi. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about life. Life in all of its messiness. This video might be messy itself, so if you're into that, if you're new here and you're into somewhat messy life updates, then not that anything is wrong or bad, just that it might be a little bit discombobulated, then, and if you're new and you're liking that vibe, I would encourage you to subscribe, stick around, and without any further rambling on, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. I'm really not sure when I gave a proper life update. I know I talked about beginning teaching and really enjoying my job. And I know I gave somewhat of a life update when I talked about student debt. And so let me talk about those topics right now. I am still teaching 6th grade math and science for a very small school in my area. And at the beginning, there were some learning curves. My sons also attend the school that I teach at. And so for the most part, I have somebody's kids, whether they are my own or the students that I teach, almost at every single moment of the day besides the small break that I have. So far, up until this moment, I've never had a job that did that, meaning my own children went to a different school than I taught at, and so I would have these pockets of time, whether it be before school or after school, that were my own. And so part of the learning curve of teaching at this school was that I don't have that alone time or that time anymore to myself. The beginning part, like a few minutes before school starts, and as you know, and I think I did touch on this. I will say that I've gotten more used to having kids around me at all points throughout the day. I am never without a child in my eyesight, basically, and it's gotten a lot better and a lot easier. It just took a little while. I also know that it was a learning curve just for the whole family, and as my sons have gotten more comfortable attending this school, because the school is new to them as well, as they've gotten more comfortable, I've gotten more comfortable. And and so that is a really just happy update about my life. And then with student debt, I ended up sort of having my own little breakdown. It was so stressful, this student debt thing, navigating student debt, basically. It was so stressful to me. Whenever I thought about it, my heart rate would go up and I would cry, and it was just like emotionally, it was something that was really big to carry. And I know I was not carrying it on my own. My partner, my husband, Ted, has been amazing about being with me right along the way to, help process what this means for us. And during this process, as I'm figuring out student debt, if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically my student debt was off, it was taken off deferment, and I started getting, they started asking for money. And it was just, I wouldn't say surprising. It was just like a lot of information to process all at once. And all of a sudden, this thing that I knew was there that I didn't have to engage in, I was being asked in a very earnest and intense way. I was being asked to engage in this process of repaying back my student loan and figuring it out. They were like, you must engage like right now. And I was like, okay, I must engage like right now. And so I was kind of like, I had this moment of like sort of freaking out inside. So if you all are going through student loan stuff, just know you're not alone. And so I even made a video about it because it was just so heavy and big, and I knew I wasn't alone, and I wanted to put it out there in the world because y'all are so amazing, and it's so wonderful to connect with things that are huge, like student debt. And so I was able to connect with a few people on that video, and that helped. And I also was like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out this whole process with student loans and stuff. And so I did. I ended up figuring out a whole bunch of stuff. I have figured out that there are actual places that help navigate the student loan process. And I have figured out that in the US, there is something called the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, in which if you are paying back your student loans for a period of time and you consistently make payments for 10 years, that, and it's a little more because I've worked public service jobs, it's a good forgiveness program for me. And I was able to crunch some numbers, and I've already put in a lot of time, both working in public service full time and paying on my student loans for undergraduate school. So there is a possibility that I will have some loan forgiveness, and I have some people on my team to help figure this out for me, or to help me figure this out. And so it's just been awesome. Like, it's been just wonderful news. And I even, without getting into too much detail, there was some uncertainty as to whether my current job was qualified as a public service job, and I found out it did. And so, you know, I'm in this process, and I'm on the road to really kind of putting the student loan debtness to rest, and it's a lot more manageable for me. However, there was these moments in time where it was like in the last couple of months that it has just been so big to carry, to look at, to start to process. And it was really overwhelming for a little while, but now we've gotten into a better place, and I wanted to update you all about that. I tend to update you all on my larger projects in these videos. One project that was sort of an internal habits type project for me is something that I called No TV in 2023. And I was trying in a very low-key way, in a very sort of hands-off, gentle way. I was trying to cut down on my television watching habits, partly because I have a limited amount of time, and I wanted to use that time doing the things that are important to me, one of which is reading. And so I set out to try and get my television watching habits really not tuned down, but really toned down. I didn't really want to watch TV anymore. And so I am happy to report that essentially I don't watch television anymore at all. Once I started teaching school, I was watching The West Wing, and I got to the season in which, if you're not a West Wing fan, I'm so sorry, but I got to the season in which Aaron Sorkin is no longer writing for the show, I believe. Aaron Sorkin is the writer for The West Wing, and we get to this place where he's not really writing anymore, and I couldn't tell a marked difference, and I ended up stopping the show at that point. It also coincided with me starting to teach school, and basically I haven't done the thing where I'm like starting a new television show. And so since I haven't sought anything new to watch, it just means that I'm not watching it. And I keep on thinking about, like, Christmas break is coming up, and it would be really nice to watch a television show. So I have a couple in mind that I might watch, but who knows, maybe I'll continue this no television watching trend in my life all the way through to the end of the year and start 2024 as like a non-television watching person. However, it's so funny because Ted, my husband, still watches television. He's all into a bunch of different kinds of television. And so one of the things that gave me so much joy was that he was watching the documentary on NXIVM. It was a cult-like group headed by someone called Keith Raniere. And they have done good in the world, but ultimately, like some cults, all cults, like cultish behavior that I know of, it tends to get a little not good, bad. It's bad. So even though I wasn't watching this documentary on Nexium, Ted was. And so every day I was like, Ted, what happened in the last episode of Nexium, the Nexium documentary? And he would tell me all about it. And it was really interesting. And I did catch a couple snippets, but I'm so sensitive to drama, like the dramatic effects of television, like the music getting scary or the atmosphere changing, and if dark topics are being brought up and it's paired with scary music and icky imagery, it will really, really, really get to me. So, needless to say, there would always be a point. I would be like reading and kind of like watching the documentary like for about 10 minutes, and then always about the 10-minute mark I'd be like, I can't watch this, I can't do it. But then the next morning I'd be like, what happened? And then of course, since Ted is my husband, he knows what I am sensitive to and what I'm not sensitive to, and he would tell me about the episode in a way that was really enjoyable and entertaining, partly because it's through his narrative style, and it wasn't too scary for me. And then we would discuss about Nexium. So that was fantastic. It's just been like a feature in our lives. That was really fun. So for about 2 weeks, we were just talking all about this cult and how it was built and the main characters. I mean, it's, real life thing, but the main people involved and how it was built. And it was just fantastic. As a kind of quick wardrobe update, I banished all of my neutral clothes from November 10th until December 10th. I not only banished all of my neutral clothes, I banished all of my neutral makeup as well. And so I mostly have colorful makeup to do my makeup with, like colorful eyeshadow. I did have some things, and I'll get into it when I finally wrap up the whole project, but I have like neutral outerwear that I really couldn't banish because I rely on that to keep me warm during cold days. And the project has unfolded very interestingly because, and again, I will get into it in more of a detailed way, but some of the initial thoughts are that I really miss my neutral clothes. And I think it has to do with the fact that I don't always love making a statement. I don't always want to feel as if I am wearing a look, like L-E-W-K, like a fashion look, that I put together something in order to be looked at. And with this maximalist wardrobe experiment, I noticed that I like to wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I like hints of a look. I like to feel that maybe there are some nods to maximalism or extremist fashion, but I actually don't really love the only options being, bold looks all the time. Like, I want times where I am very comfortably dressed down and I'm not wearing a bold color. I did not know that about myself. I really thought going into the project that I would not miss at all any of my neutral clothes. And I'm finding more and more that I am just tired. I'm like exhausted by having to wear bright colors all the time. So instead, it's like having too much cake. It's like having a slice of cake every once in a while, at least for me, and I love cake. Having it every once in a while is amazing, but I have to be eating all the things that are good for me, I have to be eating all the other things. I have to have a variety in my palate. Some of the things are boring, but are like really good for my body. Some of it is just, get fueling my body for the day that I have. Some of it is really tasty, but not necessarily cake. It's like pasta or, I don't know, well done, like croissants or something. And it's tasty, but it's not always like sweet and sugary and frosty. And then, every once in a while, if I have cake, it's such a treat. It's wonderful. It's delicious. It's tasty. And like my maximalist wardrobe, it's like I'm always eating cake. And after a while, I'm looking at the cake and I'm like, I love you when I don't have you as much. But because I have you all the time, I'm craving the other things that make me feel good, that make me feel confident, that make me just feel like I'm ready for the day, which is half of the time what I need, and not always having to be this experience. For me, it'd be like wearing the clothes, me being looked at, this experience of having to put together things that maybe wouldn't necessarily be put together if I wasn't doing this. And it's just like, to me, a little bit too much. So I have been liking it, but it's just turning out to be very different than I had anticipated. Also, I'm noticing that, so with my neutral clothes, I have, certain long sleeve tops and short sleeve tops and pants that I wear kind of on rotation. They're like my hero products, my hero clothes. I wear them very systematically, and they almost always get washed every week because I really rely on them to just throw together an outfit really quick. Now I noticed that I have certain bold items, like this is one of them, that I just throw on now. Whereas before I'd be like, oh, do I want to, is it a yellow sweater day? And it would be like a whole kind of thing about whether I was going to be wearing the yellow sweater or not. And now it's almost become like a staple. And so I noticed that I have like staple items that I really rely on. And when those staple items were taken away, those staple pieces of clothing, the backbone of my clothing was taken away, I noticed that very quickly I chose like 5 or 6 new pieces that are my new staple pieces, and I'm rotating through those very often. The last relatively big thing is it's going to have to be like a slight story time, and it has to do with YouTube. So as you all probably know, and through my behavior, I love YouTube. Like, I love creating for YouTube, and I love the YouTube community. I love it all. I could get all worked up about how much I enjoy doing this kind of work. Sitting down, and it's very separate for me. I love sitting down, talking to the camera, creating the video, editing the video, making the thumbnail. I love putting it all together, and then it goes out into the world. That first process that I described, the process of creation of a video, I love it. I've always loved it. I think it's super fun. I love every part of it. Nothing is a bore, nothing is a chore. I love it all. And then there is like the community aspect, and that is watching other people's videos, talking with other people in the community, responding to comments, me commenting on other people's videos, seeing what trends are going on, like what tags are going on in the community that are fantastic, keeping up with what everyone else is reading, being inspired by everyone else's reading list or their content. And that to me is what conversations are going on, what I want to be a part of. I mean, it could go on and on. That's very communal, community driven. And that is totally separate from, they're interconnected in some ways, but it's mostly separate from the creation that I do, that I enjoy doing. And so here's what I noticed. In October, I started making daily outfit of the days. I basically started to YouTube super hard. I was like, I'm gonna make shorts, and it was very subconscious. And I don't really know why I decided to lean into the creation side so much, but I started making daily shorts along with 3 videos a week, and I was really in this flurry of creation. And that means that pretty much every morning I would come in to this room here, I would film myself getting dressed, I would edit it, I would upload it. It was a whole thing. I was also doing different kinds of content, which means that I'm experimenting with setting up the camera in different spaces in my house, setting up lighting, and doing just a bunch of different things. And I don't know why I was bitten by the bug so hard. Sometimes I could use creating as an avoidant tactic, I'm avoiding something in my life. But I really don't know what was going on internally that made me just go on fire with creating in October. I was just a mad woman, going for it, and I let myself go for it and really get lost as as a person making videos. Like I was losing myself to being a content creator, which is kind of a weird thing, but I was just using every spare moment. And I mean, that I wasn't reading or teaching or spending time with family. I was like using every single moment I had to make videos. And I really don't know what that was all about, but I put out like 45 videos. Like if you included shorts and videos, I put out about 45 videos in the month of October. I posted every single day. And then November hit, and I was still like doing pretty well, but I also, underneath the surface, was starting to get a sinus infection. And so for about a week, I was feeling really tired and unlike myself. I remember even teaching some classes, and I was like, look, guys, I don't feel well, so I probably wouldn't push me today. Like, please don't push my buttons today, because I already know that I feel as if I have less patience, and I don't want to be impatient with you all, and making that request and being very upfront about it. And then I also, in November, so the sinus infection, I felt like I was like really trying to keep a lid on it. I was like really trying to like take medicines and fight it. And then it like hit. It hit. So I had 1 week of feeling really tired and draggy and not great. And then the following week I was like full blown sick. And I lost my voice, and I still don't really have my full voice back. I lost my voice. I had to go to the doctor. I had to take a day off to go to the doctor because I was so sick, and I was in better spirits than when I was that week of dragging. In spirit, like my spirit, my inner life, I was a lot more like, okay, I'm sick, I'm resigned to it. I actually didn't feel grumpy or impatient or frustrated in any way, shape, or form. I just was feeling, I just knew that I was sick, and I was like, okay, just make it a couple more days. We're almost at Thanksgiving break. I get a whole week off for Thanksgiving break. It's gonna be amazing. And I actually had to take the Friday before Thanksgiving break off to go to the doctor and finally get some antibiotics to help clear up being sick. And at that time, my focus shifted from all this creation of YouTube and like being really into making things, and it shifted to like my health, getting better, drinking water, resting, and like finally actually taking a break of like really intense like making, like creating, that I had been on for like 6 weeks. And then I feel like I'm back to a more equalized schedule, like for my videos. I don't really have a schedule. I kind of have a rough number of videos that I like to put up a week, but I don't have a schedule for my shorts or anything like that. And I'm not feeling as experimental as I was. So, because also when I was like in that phase of really just going hard and like making everything, like all these different things, I was like experimenting a lot too. And that's why, wardrobe, I was doing like the wardrobe videos. I was just doing a lot. And now I'm feeling a lot less experimental. I'm feeling a lot better health-wise. I'm getting rest and all of that. And I don't know, it's like the spell kind of broke, and I'm sort of back to my regular content making. I'd even flirted with doing Vlogmas, but I've already missed December 2nd. So I'm like, I'm not doing Vlogmas this year. And I still have like a fire in me to make a lot of videos, but I think I'm feeling more grounded in my reality that like there are only so many hours of the day, and my life is better when I'm balanced. So all that went on, and it was kind of nuts. It was just nuts. I mean, I look back and I'm like, how did I put up 45 videos in October? And in November, I put up like 35 videos in November. So yeah, that went on. And so now I'm in December. I'm like, I don't have the energy, y'all. Although I have a lot of energy, it's directed into different avenues and not necessarily all content creation all the time. So that happened. And then very, very recently, actually, my sister, who I had not seen in a year and a half, she came into town. And she came into town for a day, and we got to spend a lot of time together. And oh boy, that was amazing. It was so wonderful and healing, and just like exactly what my spirit needed. And it was just, oh, I could get emotional now thinking about it. I just love her so much. I have a lot of siblings. So this is my older sister, and arguably this is the sister and the sibling that I'm closest with. And I just love her. And it was really cute because I found out about a month ago that she was going to visit. And I was like, we're gonna go here for lunch, and this is what we're gonna do, and I'm just so excited. And my husband was like, you must be really excited because you never plan anything a month in advance. Like, I've never known you to plan anything a month in advance, which is so true. I'm not a planner. I'm not a planner at all. I am all about sort of like the organic schedule. Just letting things happen. And so yeah, and so I was just so excited about this visit for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it happened, and it was amazing. It was just amazing. It was amazing to see her. It was wonderful to see her. We had just the best time, and I'm just so glad to have had her here. And so that's been really wonderful as well. So I guess that is it for me. What has been going on? I've just shared a bunch, like all the stuff, which is what I wanted to do. I said in a video recently that I just really wanted to sit down and share with you about what's going on. And I have. I did the thing, and I love doing this. And so yeah, so now I shared, it's your turn. My camera was like, you've talked enough, and it cut me off. What's been going on in your life? I must know. I want to know. Please let me know. Yeah, I would love to just hear from you and to know, like, how's it going? You know, which is what I did with you, what I would do with like a friend if I was sitting down and they let me talk uninterrupted for 30 minutes. This is the update they would likely get depending on my relationship with the person. So yeah, so let me know. Please let me know, how are things? Things are going really well for me, even though it's been a little unusual. And yeah, that's it. That's it for me. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye.